Cool. Hey, everybody. I'm Kevin from Kraken Futures, and I'm here with Raynaldo from HaasOnline. Raynaldo, do you want to give a quick introduction to HaasOnline, and then we can, I'll talk a little bit about Kraken Futures, and then we can go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, hey everyone, I am Raynaldo Rivera. I am the Chief Communications Officer for HaasOnline. HaasOnline is an automated trading platform that allows you to basically, if you have a strategy and you need to automate it, you can plug it into our platform and have it working 24/7. We've been around since 2014, started by Stefan de Haas and his brother Quintus, and we've been kicking ever since.
Excellent. And yeah, thank you all very much for taking the time to watch this video. I'm Kevin. I'm the head of business development here at Kraken Futures. And a big thank you to the Haas team for taking the time to integrate with Kraken Futures and for being excellent to work with. We're very, very excited about this trading competition that we're launching actually a couple hours ago now. Kraken Futures is a cryptocurrency futures platform. We are the only FCA regulated platform of crypto native companies, and we're owned by Kraken, the spot exchange. So what we offer is up to 50x leverage in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. And you can do instant transfers between Kraken Spot and Kraken Futures. So any Kraken Spot client that has done KYC can automatically transfer to Kraken Futures. And we've got quite a lot of educational materials. So introduction to futures content. We're doing a lot to make the UI a little bit simpler to work with, and really working on making the futures platform as accessible and easy as possible to use. So one thing, Raynaldo, I'd be curious about is, I guess, start from the beginning of why do people trade with bots today? What does a bot do that you wouldn't get by trading on screen?
Sure. So one of the key differences between the cryptocurrency markets and traditional markets, your Forex, options, equities, et cetera, is that crypto trades 24/7, which really means that if you want to catch every big move and you want to be involved in that, or you need to watch your positions, you really have to be up 24/7, which isn't feasible for most humans, I would imagine. So what a crypto trading bot software, ours or anyone else's, what it would allow you to do is make sure to manage those positions automatically. Now, it's only as good as the settings and parameters you put into it. So obviously, if they're not good, then the bot's not going to perform well. But it basically just allows you to keep an eye on the markets 24/7 and enter and exit positions whenever, right? Assuming you're set up correctly.
So I'm a terrible trader, and I've learned that the hard way over many years. Is it easy to set up HaasOnline? I mean, how much work and how much, more importantly for me, how much technical expertise do you need to get going with Haas?
Sure, absolutely. Haas, one of the things I can say is Haas, while it is after usage intuitive, it does have a bit of a learning curve, and there's a reason for that. Has the features of a bot increase, there's an added complexity, right? And you can see that if you look at the different competitors in the space, the more features a given product has, the more complex it is to work with. And for HaasOnline, we do make it as easy as possible, at least in our eyes. We're a group of developers, right? So, but yeah, we do have a certain learning curve that needs to be overcome in order to fully utilize our software. Now, is that saying someone who doesn't already have experience working with different bots, or maybe just experience using a computer, will definitely have a bit of an easier time than someone who's fresh out of the gate, who's only ever seen, for example, a TD Ameritrade interface, right?
Yeah, there's a drag and drop interface that lets you do it in a little bit without having to do actual coding, or do you need to have some basic coding experience to interact with it?
Yeah, so basically I think what you're getting into is kind of our visual editor that just got released, and I imagine we'll touch on that more during this talk. But we recently released a big update which allowed for our visual editor, which, as long as you have some basic understanding of knowledge and you've ever played with Legos or building blocks, you probably are able to pull off most of the strategies you would want to. Now, there is a bit of, the more advanced you want to get, the more complex your strategy gets. I think there's a really cool image that we've seen from one of our users named Cobalt, which is this massive, giant page of this visual bot that he's been running, and he's been having some success with. And yeah, there is a drag and drop. As long as you have basic understanding of knowledge, and logic, should I say, basic understanding of logic and how trading works, you can definitely drag and drop the different elements to get to where you want your algorithm to be.
Is there like like what's the first strategy that most people start out with? Like I guess for me, I don't know very much. I'm not a great trader, so I like what would be a great or a good strategy to try to start with for people that have never used a bot before?
Yeah, sure. So there's two questions in that one, right? It's which one do people usually start with, and then what do people end up using long term?
Okay.
I can't talk for many of the other platforms, but for our platform, what we end up seeing is that we always have individuals who start off with using our scalper bot, which is a simple bot, just buy in a position and then sell it once it's at a certain profitability. The problem is those tend to work in very sideways type of market movements, and that's where I believe that most people get hung up on, is that identifying the current market, whether we're uptrending, downtrending, or we're just sideways trading in a channel, and then applying the correct bot. So most of the time we have people who start with our market making, our scalper bot, etc. But what ends up happening is they eventually move over to like our Mad Hatter or Flash Crash. And Mad Hatter is just your typical technical analysis based bot, 3 separate indicators, and it uses that in consensus to make a trading decision. And then we also have things like our Flash Crash bot, which is more of your kind of grid style trading algorithm, where you have positions at a certain given price point, and then you fill your buys below, and then you sell them as you go up, refilling back and forth. And for those who want a more, should I say, stable type of trading, because those are very active strategies, and if the market moves too heavily in one way, you might get stuck with a bag and have to manage that. The last thing we usually see users who come to is our indexing. So Haas has a very advanced index bot that allows individuals to pretty much create the equivalent of their own, I guess, say crypto ETFs that have a bunch of different coins in them, and then we manage it through a series of, whether it's just, hey, we're watching the buy and sell, or the price to buy and sell, or we're doing another, like each individual coin within the index has its own Flash Crash bot, and that's how we're accumulating your balance over time.
Wow.
So the long-winded answer is it's a lot of different things, and it really comes down to the risk that the individual trader is willing to take and what they're trying to achieve. If it's just small gains, or just maybe not even that, maybe just maintaining or slowly increasing their Bitcoin holdings, they might go with one option compared to another option that is more aggressive.
So is there much of a difference between the way the users trade with spot or margin or futures, or is it all more like, does Mad Hatter work for all three, or is it different strategies for different product types?
Yeah, it's still, we're still trading active markets, and there definitely is a difference in strategies that are used for different ones. So for example, I really probably wouldn't want a grid style trading bot on a futures platform due to margin constraints, right? So if I end up getting a very large position, over time, my available margin is obviously going to get smaller. And if it gets too small, then I get margin called, which is never good. So yeah, there's definitely different strategies of when you start looking at leverage and margin based, trading, specifically futures. You don't really want to be holding large positions that can go against you for a long time. In spot, that's fine. We can hold the bag, and eventually, hopefully the price comes back, and then we can sell it and continue trading. But as you know, when you have futures, there's that added risk of how much am I leveraged? What's my margin balances? So yeah, there's definitely a difference. And most of our bots do support the margin and leverage based accounts. It just, it's platform dependent and how close of a relationship we have with each individual exchange to get the things we need done. So, for most of the exchanges, there's a certain endpoint we need, or we need certain data, and they don't provide it. So we have to work with them to ensure we can get it. And, working with Kraken Futures has been great, which isn't always the case with exchanges. Sometimes we have to kind of fight tooth and nail to get access to, the internal development team to ask them, can you give us an endpoint that does this?
Wow. So if I understand correctly, the traders can use any of the strategies across, if it's supported by the exchange, across any sort of leveraged or not leveraged trading style.
Most of them, yes, most of them. Some of them are not really designed for leverage. Like you wouldn't run an index bot on a leverage market, right?
Okay, yeah.
So you would want to, it's definitely bot specific. However, if you're using like our visual editor or HaasScript to build your own bot, it can work on any exchange and any of the instruments there.
Cool. And I guess where do you see the company and the platform in a year's time? Like, I guess what's a good result for you guys at the end of this year?
Yeah, sure. So, this year's been a little bit rocky, and so is last year, aside from, what's going on just general in the world, but in the crypto market, it's also been a bit rough, right? We've seen lately a spike up to 10K, we've fallen back down, and, not sure how many people know, but HaasOnline operates solely on Bitcoin. Everything, all of our employees, everything's managed in Bitcoin. So we definitely have seen our wallets kind of taking drastic swings in the positive and negatives due to the value of Bitcoin. But we're still around, we're still growing, we still have a large team, and we have what our web offering coming up, which we'll call our V4 offering, and we're really excited to get that out this year. Hopefully we'll have everybody able to see it and be able to use it. And it's basically an answer for those who don't really want to use an on-prem solution and they want a more cloud-based solution that they're used to from other competitors. So we definitely have something in the pipeline to cater towards the more retail-oriented traders compared to most of our current customer base, which is the more institution type traders.
Excellent. How did you guys find it? It must have been a pretty wild day a couple of weeks ago, and I guess it was March 13th when the market dropped. What was it, like 50% or something like that overnight? Was that how are people? How did the user base hold up in that move?
Yeah, so interesting enough, our user base, from what we heard, we didn't hear much. So we imagine hopefully they did well. Yeah. Like I said, since most of our customer base are institution right now, they generally don't share their downsides. That's just how it works. Mm-hmm. At least for them, they kind of keep everything internal. If there's a problem, they'll ask us, or they'll share very small tidbits of what's going on. But yeah, user base wise, we know our price cloud didn't go down. We know that certain exchanges did still have execution problems. That's unfortunately out of our control. Yep. Since we're interacting with the APIs of all these exchanges, and if they're not accepting orders, there's not really much we can do there. As a company, we're fine. We do trade. The company does manage its own assets, mm-hmm. So anything we're holding from our sales is being traded, and we didn't come out crazy ahead. We didn't lose a crazy amount. We just kind of maintained during those, which is great. That's with movements like that. Sometimes the best you can hope for is, did I maintain? Did we lose anything?
Absolutely. I think maintaining would have been a great result after a move like that. I'd be curious also, how are you guys, how are you seeing sort of the in the chats and stuff, the user base and you guys as well, gearing up for the halving in a few weeks?
Yeah, everybody's ready. I mean, most of the people who are talking, they're accumulating BTC right now. Okay. They're looking at it as obviously hopeful for a increase in price due to the halving. So far so good for every other time it's happened, right? So yeah, everybody's just kind of excited. They're hoping we'll see the 20s again. Whether or not we will, who knows? But in the end, any increase in price is good for everybody involved within the cryptocurrency, world.
Cool. And then I'd love to learn a little bit more, or have you share a little bit more with the viewers about the competition that you guys are running with Kraken Futures. Are you comfortable sharing a quick overview of the competition and what's in store?
Yeah, I will do my best to do it from memory. But yeah,
I'll put the link below, and yeah.
So we recently integrated with Kraken Futures, and we thought, we've integrated with a bunch of exchanges, and based on, how we're working with them, et cetera, we kind of make decisions about that. And we're feeling very confident with the Kraken Futures integration. I know we're still pushing out releases for different changes we're making to ensure that we are stable on our end with the Kraken Futures API. So we decided to host a trading competition to kind of commemorate, like, hey, look, we finally integrated with Kraken Futures. It's been a long time coming. And Yeah, we have a competition. We're giving out about $10,000 worth of Bitcoin in prizes. We decided to split up the competition in 4 segments. So basically, individuals who want to join late into the competition aren't at a disadvantage. They have 4 opportunities to jump in and have equal playing ground with everybody else in the competition at the time. And I know, we have some cool merch from like Ripple from you guys, just kind of showing how, look, if you guys trade this asset, you can benefit from being the top in that specific asset. So yeah, that's the base. We have a competition. I believe it's from April. I believe we started yesterday, April 20th to, I want to say May 15th.
Yeah,
I
somewhere
feel
around
like
there. Yeah,
somewhere around there.
about 4 weeks from
Middle
now.
of May. I'm pretty sure we'll get a little blurb, a little text blurb, or a link that actually has the correct date. My CMO is going to kill me. But no, we do have that going on. We have a nice amount of entry so far. With these competitions, it's one of those things where the incentives have to be big enough to where an individual is willing to move their assets to a new exchange to compete. So anytime you have a nice number of competitors, it's always nice because it's always something, because not only have they decided to enter the competition with your software, they also are willing to move their assets to an exchange to participate. So it's twofold, right? You have the learning curve and the usability of the current software, and then you have the trust and entering in a new exchange. Another thing we've decided to do to kind of entice people to not only trade on Kraken Futures using our software, but even just see our software for the first time, is we've decided to, for the first time, we're giving out licenses for the use of this competition. And that's really big on our side, mostly because with these competitions, we generally are like, okay, if you have a trial license, you can pick up one to use. But this time we wanted to ensure a large amount of competitors, even those who may have never seen our software. So basically, small plug, if you want to sign up for Kraken Futures and then also compete in the competition hosted by Haas, but don't have a license, it comes with your confirmation email. We will include the license for the duration of the competition, so you can see it, you can compete, and you can see how automated software works and if it works for you.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the competition is that anybody that's actually even a KYC Kraken client, obviously we're not in America, and I think there's a few other jurisdictions where you're not allowed to trade futures at all. But as long as you're a KYC Kraken client, you've got a Kraken Futures account, and that means you have access to the Haas account for the duration of this competition for use on Kraken Futures. So it's a great way to try 2 platforms at the same time. The other thing I love that you guys did with the competition is you broke it up into 4 equal segments, but actually the prize money goes up each week. So the people that trade in the first week probably just get to learn their way around. There's a couple $100s to be made, but towards the end, it'll be a few $1,000s per week. So it's a really nice build up, and we'll be doing our best to sort of highlight and showcase the traders if they wish along the way.
Yeah, of course. And let me ask you this, let's reverse the questioning for a second. How have you guys seen how are you guys handling the, I guess, hopeful influx of users kind of coming to your platform, and what are you guys seeing?
Yeah, it's been a big year for us overall, actually. So we grew about 15x last year. We were acquired by Kraken. So the backstory of Kraken Futures is it started out as crypto facilities, and it was acquired by Kraken in early 2019. So over the course of last year, it was a big integration with the firm. You can now move balances back and forth more or less instantly, always leaving them at cold storage in Kraken. And had about 15x growth over the past year. It's been a really nice progression for the firm. And one of the things we've been very excited about now is working with companies like Haas to bring in more sophisticated trading software for our users and allow people different ways to access the platform. So in the sign up of this process, in the sign up and run up to the competition, it's been a fantastic experience for us. The Haas users have been very constructive and very interactive, both in our Telegram chat and also in the Haas Discord, which is, we've got people in there, myself and a few others in there as well. So it's been a really, really nice experience over the past few weeks getting things online. And I'm just excited to see, how the competition goes. It's the first time we've done one with a P&L based percentage gains competition. So it should be fun to see what types of strategies people run and what people are capable of. We've seen some pretty big numbers posted. It'll be interesting to see if people can do it in the week.
Yeah, and it also comes down to how volatile the markets are going to be, right? And that will greatly change how the results of the competition come out depending on the strategies used. I know a few traders are trading the channel right now. Look, we're not really moving that much. They're doing great by trading sort of these grid-based strategies within these channels. However, once we start running, we'll see which side they end up on, right?
Yeah, and I think the halving actually happens during the competition, so it could be, or if it doesn't, it's right afterwards. So the build up and that time frame could make for some very, very interesting results.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so Raynaldo, one last question, at least off the top of my head. I'd love to learn a little bit more about HaasScript and what you guys have in store and what are planned for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So HaasScript is the newest thing we've been really pushing, and it's really going to be the future of our platform. And we've looked at a lot of different ways. I mean, if you've used Haas before, almost, I guess, a year ago, you would know that HaasScript didn't exist at the time. You kind of used what we called our visual trade bot builder, which was close to drag and drop. You kind of just selected which insurances, safeties, and you wanted and indicators, and you would be able to just say, oh, I want an RSI indicator, I want a stop loss safety, and an assurance of always make sure you overcome fee or something. And that's how you would build your bot moving there. However, HaasScript's different. It is a full scripting language. It's based on Lua, and our platform now runs on it. Almost every bot that is within the HaasOnline platform or our trading platform that you'll see has a HaasScript backing to it. And the reason for that is, one, we wanted to make sure that our users would have a full availability to do whatever they wanted within our platform outside of what we've provided. We wanted to not only give them a certain amount of tools, but also allow them the freedom to build their own, whatever we're missing, whatever they wanted into that. So, all sorts of different indicators have been made. Custom safeties have been designed by users in our Discord. I mean, you can go in there and you can see that they're actively sharing just different things they've created. And we even have one of our devs, one of the main devs of HaasScript in there, Pashai, who not only works on the HaasScript implementation, but he's constantly releasing different examples and different indicators and kind of different logic within HaasScript, so anybody can use. And you can build anything from just an indicator with HaasScript to a full-blown bot that's traded on multiple exchanges. So they're really, we're aiming for that, wherever you want to go with our software, you're able to do. And it's important to note that learning and investing with HaasScript now benefits you in the long run, because we do plan on that being kind of the foundation for our, what we call our V4, our cloud offering in the future. So it's definitely not a learn now and have to relearn later situation.
That's fantastic. That sounds like a huge development.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We definitely put a lot of work into it, and we still are. And alongside HaasScript, we have what we call the visual editor, right? Which is the same thing. It's a drag and drop building, drag and drop building of logic. If you want to say, get me market data for 1 minute time frame, throw an RSI on it. If it's above 80, buy, you can do that, which is a very simple example. Or you can do these kind of crazy complex calculations within it. And as long as you understand basic logic, you can pretty much build whatever you want.
Wow. It's really cool.
So we're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Hey, Kevin. So I know that we've kind of had, you've been asking me a lot of questions, but I know our user base has a few questions for you as well. And hopefully we can cover them in this if you're up for it.
Yeah, let's go for it. We'll see what we do.
Sure. So let's start with something easy. What do you, or how should I say, what's the advantage of trading futures over, let's say, spot? What does that give a customer the ability to do?
Yeah, it's a cool question, actually, because it's perhaps worth starting it with the differences between the two, and then we can talk about why you might choose one or the other.
Yeah.
So when you're trading on a spot market, either with like spot Kraken or with margin, so even margin trading on Kraken, you're always actually trading the real asset. So you're actually buying and selling Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever it is, and you're taking delivery of it. So the exchange is an actual asset being exchanged in the moment of the trade. When you trade futures, you're not trading the asset itself. You're trading a contract that reflects the asset price. So when you trade Bitcoin futures, you're actually trading a Bitcoin contract that just settles or reflects the underlying price of Bitcoin. And the reason why you would trade a contract is it allows you to trade with more leverage. We can go into the mechanism behind it if we need to, but the punchline, the big difference between spot and futures is that you're allowed to trade with much more leverage on futures. So when you trade on a futures platform like Kraken Futures, you're allowed to trade with up to 50x leverage, which means that if you put in, say, just to use dollars we're margined in cryptocurrency, but for a simple example, if you put in the equivalent of $1,000, you'd be able to take up to a $50,000 notional position, provided you're a professional client on the platform. So you can have a much higher leverage, and the impact that has is it magnifies your trading gains and losses. So if you're trading with, say, 50x leverage, and there's even a 0.5% price move, I believe you can have up to 25, let me do the math, 25% gain or loss, depending on which way you traded. So very small moves on futures can have very, very large impacts on your margin or your initial deposit.
Okay. And can you cover over some of the dangers of, I mean, you know, or maybe not dangers, but gotchas of trading on a futures platform?
Well, the main thing to be aware of is that you can both make and lose money very, very quickly, like depending on the amount of leverage that you trade with. So if you trade with 2x leverage, it's not as bad, but if you're trading again with 10, 20, 50x leverage, it really does magnify the gains and losses. The reason why people might want to do that generally is two reasons. One is if you're an operating business, for example, an OTC desk or a brokerage, and you have cash flow moving in and out, and you need to hedge positions over a period of time. So for example, you and I do a trade now, but you wire me the money and I don't receive it for 3 days. I still have price exposure for those 3 days, and futures are a great way to hedge that because you can do it with less operating capital. You've already got the money coming, so you know you're not taking price risk, and you can use less capital to hedge the exposure. The other reason people do it is for trading, to amplify the gains and losses from a trading strategy. So the main thing to be aware of if you're trading with futures is leverage and how leverage works. A great way to learn about it if you've never traded with leverage before is we have a demo platform. We can put the link below, but it's demo-kraken.futures.com. It is exactly the same platform as our live site. The only difference is the order book is managed by 2 trading bots. So it's run by just 2 accounts on the back end. It's there, it works just like a regular order book, but it's not sort of stocked and being refreshed like the order book would be on a live site. But that's a great way to learn about how to trade with leverage. You can leave positions open on there. You can set up multiple accounts if you wish, and always just recharge your capital.
No, that does sound great, and hopefully, people understand. Look, when you're trading leveraged assets, you need to kind of, it's a different thought process, right? That look, you're going to increase the potential profit, but you're also going to take on an increased risk when a downside occurs. One of the, I guess, the biggest question, I guess we'll come out and ask it, is a lot of our users are just going to ask, why should I trust Kraken Futures? I know, again, soft plug for Haas, we are very adamant about what exchanges we work with. We make sure they're real people. We have conversations like this with them. But why would a user currently, let's say, trade on another platform like Binance or Deribit, move over to Kraken Futures? Why should they trust you?
It's a fair question. So what we specialize in and what we take a lot of pride in are a few things. So for example, reliability of the platform. So we take a great deal of pride in the stability of our API. So if a user wants to increase rate limits, and this goes for any Haas user as well, we're always able to do that for you. Even through that whole March 12th, 13th, when there was that extremely violent price move, our system traded all the way through, no issues at all. So we take a lot of pride in the reliability of the platform, the accessibility of the people in the company. So you'll literally see me in the Telegram chats. You'll see our head of operations, our head of security are all in there helping people with sort of general questions. Of course, if you have account specific questions, use Kraken support tickets. So stability, accessibility. And then the third thing is that we're a regulated entity. And the real benefit of trading with a regulated entity is that there's accountability. So yes, you know who the CEO of the other exchange is, but you really have no recourse at all beyond Twitter if something happens on that platform. And you see people quite upset on Twitter a lot of the time with a lot of the unregulated exchanges. When you trade on a regulated venue, there are real directors of the business, and you can see them online. It's an FCA regulated firm, and they are taking responsibility for the actions of the firm. And you have recourse in that if something does go really, really wrong, you can always complain to the UK regulatory authority, which is a big difference between a company registered in a sort of offshore entity versus an entity where there are real human beings with a real office and real accountability for their actions.
No, that's a great answer. And, it's always split in the crypto world, right? Whether they want to be on a KYC exchange or they want to rather not have to deal with any sort of KYC AML. So it's definitely, look, there's benefits on both sides, I imagine. What are the new features in Kraken Futures that you're hoping to release soon, or if there is any? And then what are your guys' outlook for the end of the year? What are you guys hoping to achieve? What are you guys looking to do?
Yeah. So we're always working on the platform. So we've just in the past few weeks put out a huge backend release. Wouldn't change anything for the API, but it does allow it to scale dramatically, and it is a modular infrastructure. So hopefully one day we'll be able to do zero downtime updates. We already can scale up and down components without needing to take the whole system down. So we've put in, it's not very sexy, but we've done a huge backend release a few weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago, we also put out a complete overhaul of the front end. So now everything, there's really nice templates that you can work with. We have videos online that show you how to do it, but you can customize exactly what the front end looks like. You can split it across multiple monitors. It's had a really nice response from people, from our traders. Looking ahead, the next two things we have up, sub accounts will be out in the next couple of weeks. So the ability to create multiple sub accounts for an individual user. The accounts will be margined separately. So it's great for people that are running multiple strategies. You can margin them separately. You can keep the money separate. It's also designed for trading firms, so you can block withdrawals on a sub account. So if you have individual traders working with you that you don't want them to be able to withdraw.
No, that's really awesome. I know a lot of people are really looking forward to that. And I really wouldn't discredit your quote unquote unsexy backend update. I know a lot of traders who would rather the exchanges spend more time working on the backend than improving the front end, right? Look, at a certain point, most users care about my order going through and the exchange not going down when I need it to be open the most, right? I mean, how many times do you hear of overload problems and people freaking out because they've lost, hundreds of thousands of dollars and there's nothing they could have done about it because the exchange just wasn't working. So don't discredit your backend updates. In fact, I imagine a lot of users would rather get an email update saying we improved this part of our backend rather than we added a new colored button to the front end. So, just something to keep in mind. You track much more. I think you're downplaying the bigger updates on that one. Okay, Kevin, I have another question. I know I said I had the last question a few questions ago, but can you kind of explain Kraken's KYC process? I had a few users who they don't like to just jump into things. They want to kind of have an idea of what they're going to be getting into. They don't want to deposit money into an exchange and find out that the KYC requirements are, crazy. So can you kind of explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think one of the best things about Kraken Futures, and the thing that we hear most often from our clients, is that they love the fact that it's integrated with Kraken, the spot exchange Kraken. It is a huge benefit because it is arguably, I personally believe, but I think arguably in the space, you could say the most trusted brand in crypto. It's been around since 2013. It's never been hacked. They really stand by the values of crypto and take a lot of pride in trying to do the right thing for the community and for their clients. So Kraken is a KYC exchange. What comes along with that is you get some of the best fiat rails of any exchange in the world. So SEPA transfers, balance transfers around the US. It's quite efficient moving money in and out of Kraken. So in order to go through the KYC process, I'll have to refer you to the KYC website, but it's essentially things like proof of identity, proof of address. They do really take the time to read the documents, which I think is a good thing and is certainly should reassure you. So it can be a bit of a process, but it's no more or less than most of the other exchanges out there. And the big benefits are you get world-class fiat rails, you get a futures platform built in, and you get margin trading on top of it. So,
okay. Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I guess the next question would be, how are you protecting the user's information, right? Because there was a snafu a while back where KYC information was released, not by the exchange, but by the third party that was managing it. So how are you guys ensuring that, that sort of risk is minimized?
Yeah, so it is the core of Kraken's DNA is security and privacy. So that is like everything that the firm does is built outwards from that sort of that is the core focus of the business. I don't know that I'm in a position, I'm one, not the right person. I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to talk about any of the actual security practices of the firm. But I can tell you that you don't survive in crypto as long as Kraken has, with the user base it has, without having an exceptionally powerful focus on security and privacy and protection of the users.
Yeah, and that's completely understandable. I'm pretty sure you'll get a message from a user or two saying, "Okay, we do want to know what that process looks like."
Yeah.
So sorry for putting you guys in that
No,
position. You know. Oh, I guess the question I had here, I just got it. Actually, I had to look it up real quick. In terms of Kraken's platform, is there a Kraken trading desk trading against your users? And that's a big one because, you know, in certain exchanges there is, and, you know, people have accepted that this is a practice, but, you know, in Kraken Futures, is there one?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked the question directly. So at Kraken Futures, one of the things that we take a lot of pride in is it's a level playing field. You can actually argue it's the only potentially level playing field in crypto. So everybody has exactly the same fee structure. There are no side deals. There's nobody that's got a leveled up fee. Nobody gets back payments on their fees. Everybody has exactly the same fee structure. Everybody has exactly the same connectivity options. So the best way to connect, and I'd advise your clients to do this as well, is to whitelist your IP addresses. We can put a link below to show you how to do that. That'll give you by far the best latency and the most stable connection. But whether you're an individual trader with you know $50 in your account, or you are the largest trading firm on our platform, you have exactly the same connectivity options. You have exactly the same fee structure. And part and parcel with that is all of our programs are universal. They're all transparent. And they're all accessible to everybody. So you can do the liquidation assignment program, the revenue share program. There's no advantage in our platform to being larger or more established with those programs. And to answer your question directly, no, there's no internal trading desk at Kraken Futures.
No, that's great to hear, and you know, just understand, just users knowing that, look, it isn't even playing field means a lot. And I know, you know, I tend to come out with those questions kind of haphazard, like, oh, hey, just real quick on the side note, real quick, you guys
No,
trade against your users, but that just tends to be the way, you know, I am, and the company allows me to be. You know, generally, I'm pretty much allowed to ask the questions I think our user base wants to know, but that's actually fantastic that, you know, you guys openly are able to say, look, as it stands, everybody's an even playing field, and there isn't any. We're not malicious towards our users, right? In that sense, so that's great to hear.
Yeah, it's not just individual users that are concerned with this. So I was speaking to the CEO of one of the largest and kind of most badass trading firms in the space. And he was saying the reason we like trading with you guys is that we will know if our strategy is working properly. Because we know that nobody has structural advantage. We know that nobody has better latency than us. We know that nobody has better fee structure, so they're able to price tighter than we are. He said when we're on futures, when we're on Kraken Futures, we know if our strategy is functioning the way it should. And it also shines a light on another exchange where they're doing exactly the same thing, but it might not be working. It means that somebody's tighter. It means that somebody's faster. It means that somebody's doing something they can't structurally do on the exchange.
Yeah, and just to kind of expand on that initial question, when you say, you know, everybody's even playing field, you're also meaning order execution priority, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, just making sure, because I know the question might come up, and I figured we'll just cover it. Yeah, even playing field across the board for both retail and now. I guess before I make that comment, you're talking even playing field between retail and institution, right? Because I know that there's some different requirements for institutions to be on board a platform, but past that, again, same fee structure and everything.
Yeah, it's, I mean, the KYC requirements for a corporation are slightly different at Kraken, but that's just like different documentation because it's not a human being, it's an entity. But beyond that, everything is exactly the same. Even like to the point where even the human beings that support you are exactly the same people. So if you go into our API Telegram chat right now and post a question, you'll be like Gary or Aaron or one of these guys will reply to you, and they're literally the same guys working the replies for the largest trading firms in the world.
No, that's great. And, you know, so far we can confirm we ain't getting no special treatment. It's still, we're talking to Gary and the rest to make sure the API is set up. And, you know, we're progressing that route. So I think that's pretty much all of my questions. moving forward, if you have anything left for me aside for why I have a scraggy beard, the reason I bring it up is, look, in all my videos, I'm usually pretty clean cut, but where I am right now, we have the shelter in place orders. So, the whole shaving thing kind of disappeared, and I kind of forgot about it.
You did the promo video a few weeks ago, so we can always just sort of cut to that photo so everyone knows that you are clean cut. And
yeah, I'm usually pretty clean cut, but I figured, it's real. A little bit more real, right?
I really appreciate it. I know it's early there, and I'm accommodating the time zone for London, so thank you.
Awesome.
Any sort of final thoughts before we sign off?
No, I hope, other than I hope everybody's excited about the competition. We've really done everything we can to open up the platform and the competition itself. I will say there's certain features. Look, if you just want to see how Haas operates as a trading terminal for you, download Haas. You don't have to use the automated strategies. You can use our dashboard with your manual trading, and you can still participate in these competitions, right? And that's what we've hoped to do. Look, our platform's more than just the automated side. Granted, it's a very large portion of our platform, but we have everything from like trailing stops, iceberg orders. All of that is also in our platform that a user can take advantage of. So I'll just say, look, if you're not an automated trader, but you're still looking for a more advanced terminal that is on-prem, meaning it's on your machine, take a look at us. We have those functionality, we have those features, and you can kind of rest assured that, I have, something watching my position if something was to go astray. So I guess I'll leave it at that. Like, I hope everybody's excited about the competition. The Haas is more than just automated platforms. We're a full trading platform, portfolio management. That's what we do. We're, almost an all-in-one solution. We don't talk about it a lot because, most of our piece is the automated side, but we can facilitate manual trading. We do have the feature set that kind of a trader who's looking for a more advanced terminal could need. So yeah, any last thoughts from you?
Just to say thank you to the Haas team and the traders that are participating in the competition that's, I think, going on right now. So we feel honored that you chose to trade with Kraken Futures. It is real people behind the exchange, and we really are accountable for what we do at the exchange. So we take a lot of pride in our work, and we really appreciate when people do come trade with us. So big thank you to Haas, big thank you to the traders, and best of luck to everyone. I'm excited to see what the next few weeks bring. Thank you, guys.
Thank you as well.
Cool.
Bye.
Thank you.